Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to react to some incredibly wild venomous snake TikToks, but as I always say, what I'm really interested in is hearing what you have to say about these. Let's dive in. Well, there you saw a guy get bitten by a spitting cobra, and I'd love to give you like the detailed breakdown like the TV experts do, but I mean it's simple. He just pinned the body while leaving the head free. I mean, even if you're not that experienced with snakes, you could tell that was a really bad move. I've seen a few of these videos now of a western hognose snake chewing on someone, and I've seen people discussing it in Reddit boards, what it's like getting bitten, the numbing and the swelling and stuff like that. Overall, you know, western hoggies, they're a good pet species, they're mildly venomous, they're not dangerous, but it does kind of in the back of my mind make me wonder how long before someone gets anaphylaxis from one of these bites, passes away, and then the species ends up getting banned in a shed load of locations.
Look what I found in Estonian forest, a freaking snake. I'm a vet student, and if I learned anything about snakes is that this one isn't poisonous because it doesn't have a dangerous head or dangerous colors on her body. She doesn't have the eyes like the cats, like the pupils aren't vertical, they're round, which means that she's not dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna try to touch her. Oh, she moved. Oh, she knows something is up.
That was someone touching a wild European adder, which is our native viper species in Northern Europe. We've got them in the UK here. They won't cause fatalities generally, but they are still dangerous. I mean, you'd still be in a lot of pain. You could have damage to your finger or something, you know. It would be a week to remember, put it that way. It just goes to show, if you really don't know, or you think you know, still don't touch. It doesn't matter if it's a wild snake, and you don't know snakes well enough that you can instantly recognize the species, then you just simply don't touch them. That was cool. That was Bill Collett milking a death adder, and the reason I wanted to show that clip, even though it's really short, is I just think death adders are so cool. They're so well evolved to be an ambush predator that when you look at them, they're not shiny. There's lots of elapids and lots of other snakes that are shiny, and you can kind of catch that shine in the light quite easily. But they don't even look shiny, they're just perfectly made to blend in.
Just hold the best you can. That's it.
There you saw Kentucky Reptile Zoo milking a black mamba. Mambas have lots of different compounds in their venom. Some of them are medically significant and some of them are medically important for pharmaceuticals. And one aspect of their venom that interests me is mambalgins. So, this is going a way back now. At least over 10 years ago they discovered this group of peptides in black mamba venom called mambalgins. These peptides, well, peptides are like short chains of amino acids which can be building blocks for things, or they can send signals in your body, or they can suppress signals. And these ones seem to interfere with pain signals. So, what they discovered was mambalgins have the capacity to alleviate pain as much as opiates, and they're non-addictive. Now, this was over 10 years ago, and we've got to remember that it takes 10 to 15 years to develop drugs from new peptides like this. But last I read about it, there are no drugs using mambalgins yet. They've been saying that the peptides are hard to stabilize and hard to make into an oral medication. However, in the back of my mind, I have to wonder if mambalgins in painkillers will ever come into production, given that they're not addictive. There we saw a grown man pretending to be bitten in the genitals by a king cobra, and that is really just not educational content, in my opinion.
So here we have something special. This is the Gabino viper. It's a naturally occurring hybrid between the infamous Gaboon viper and their very close relative, the rhinoceros viper. Now these guys are really special in that they do this inching thing much like a caterpillar and a lot less like most snakes.
Hybrids are a topic of controversy in the reptile hobby because people will say they are naturally occurring. But it's interesting to look at how naturally occurring they are, because as far as I know, that hybrid specifically, there's only been a few recorded examples in the wild. And the question around this topic is to do with conservation eventually, basically. So we're looking at kind of long-term questions about the survival of the species. So if you believe that the two parent species will always be around in the wild, and we won't need to draw upon captive populations to keep their species going, then hybrids are fine as kind of a fun thing.
Can someone explain what the hell is this thing they extract from the cobra's head? This is called snakestone, and its price exceeds the price of gold. Some snake breeders claim it helps heal snake bites by tying it over the wound. Others say it brings luck, wealth, and wards off evil spirits, in addition to its use in black magic. But how is it formed? Well, the story says that if a cobra doesn't use its venom for a long time, the venom accumulates inside its head and eventually turns into a stone. But that's actually not true. You see, this is nothing more than an ordinary stone planted under the snake's skin. After several days, once the wound heals, they extract it in front of you.
People are always looking at ways to monetize snakes because of the fear factor and because of the mysticism surrounding them. And that's part of what this channel is about, kind of analyzing how we interact with them. So it's really important when you see stuff like that, not to think, oh, these are evil people, but to think this is something that tourists are possibly paying for. And if you do visit countries where they do stuff like this, don't pay for anything to do with animals, even if it's selfies. Just don't give money. Give money for food, give money for services, but not for interactions with animals or dubious practices towards animals.
Like this, we don't have only one snake. We have 5 to 10 inside. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Want to try some?
Yeah.
No, it's a delay. Yeah.
It's actually
It's nice.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the other hand there, I don't think that's aimed at tourists. I think that is a genuine traditional thing. Still not for me, but you know.
Well, this is a Asian cobra that is venomoid. And in venomoid surgery, basically the venom glands and supposedly the entire venom duct are removed, supposedly rendering the snake harmless. There are some things that can go wrong with the venomoid surgery. If all of the gland is not removed, some of it may regenerate. Also, if the duct and the accessory gland are not removed, there might be something coming out of that.
What we're watching here is Kentucky Reptile Zoo milking venomoid snakes. And we're about to see why it's important to treat a venomoid snake just like a venomous snake.
There's the next one, supposedly also venomoid.
Not venomoid.
Well, you can see this one is obviously giving something.
That's not a venomoid.
So that one is not actually venomoid.
So I occasionally feature venomoid snakes in these clips, sometimes on purpose and sometimes on accident, but I react the same either way. I would not handle venomoid snakes. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with the surgery. You're essentially trusting someone else with your safety, and as an adult you should never entrust someone else with your safety. It's not worth even the tiniest risk of a life-changing injury. A guy we've seen many times before on this channel there pretending to be attacked from behind by a mangrove snake, and then the account showing this is an account pretending to be a news site, and all its videos are just crap. So we've got 2 layers of bullshit there served up in one. There was an eastern hognose snake playing dead or performing thanatosis. Funnily enough, that is a venomous snake technically, but it is like the worm of the forest. I mean, anything bigger than a chipmunk can kill it, so it resorts to playing dead. And I'm aware actually on this channel that I don't feature enough rear-fanged species, so I need to try and get a few more into these videos.
These rattlesnakes are not defanged. These rattlesnakes are not sedated. These are wild rattlesnakes, everybody. Please, truly believe me when I say this. These are wild Southern Pacific rattlesnakes, and they are as wild as they can get.
That's a new channel. Someone sent me this video and told me to take a look, and it's like, it's purely based on shock value of, you know, venomous rattlesnakes being handled in a way which is risky, and that's like what the whole channel's about. To me, it doesn't seem helpful. I'm kind of against handling wild venomous snakes in this way. I'm kind of against annoying snakes in general if they don't want you to. I've got very tame pet snakes. I've got really docile ball pythons, and that's perfectly fine with me. But I don't know. Am I being, you know, a bit tough on people? I don't know really. I think whenever we look at these snakes and we relate it to a shock value, to a fear factor, I think we're making them seem more dangerous. I think we're reinforcing myths where we make people more afraid of them, and I think the end result is always going to be more snakes killed.
This is my beautiful yet venomous rhino viper, and she's not doing well. If you've been following along, you know she's sick. She has an upper respiratory infection. We've been giving her injections. We've been fighting this also by bumping the temperature up inside her enclosure, so essentially giving her a fever, since reptiles are cold-blooded and they can't control their own temperature. But she's not thriving. She's just not doing well. I don't really know what to say past that.
That was Venom Man with a very sick snake, and I'm sure that he knows well that at that size, surviving an RI is kind of unlikely. You must medicate, you must try your best, it's the right thing to do, but yeah, at that size it probably doesn't always go well. Overall, I see a lot of people who have YouTube accounts talk about their animals when their animals get sick, and people always kind of give them stick for it as if they haven't done enough. RIs are a tricky one. They can be contagious, they can be viral, they can be from, you know, improper quarantine measures or a new introduction to the collection, but more often than not, they're bacterial. They're from bacteria that were kind of lying in wait, if you like. They were commensal, or they were just opportunistic bacteria. And what happens is the snake gets very cold suddenly, or is slightly too cold for a long time, and they break out in an RI. And in a small snake, that can end the snake's life in, you know, 3 days once it becomes apparent.
That's it. Video. Video's up to it.
Yeah.
We go. Dat is een mooie in jullie. Waar mooi in. Zo je beneden vindt, die zit niet daar, immer plat. We let it blast.
Well, that was cool to see. That was snake catcher Dave, who watches the channel and has actually sent me in a video of him catching a snouted cobra. He's taken a pretty professional, safe approach there, and I gotta say it's really pleasing to have people in the community of people who handle them safely, approving of the channel, and then adding to the channel. I think that's great.
This is a Western Diamondback prop snake. The only thing real on it is this. The body and head are made of solid silicone, so the actor won't get rattled.
A while ago I did a video and I showed someone taping rattlesnakes' mouths shut to do dog aversion training, or rattlesnake aversion training really I should say, for their dogs, and I said, you know, potentially I found that quite cruel, and people said, well, you know, what else are you going to do? Well, there you go, we need to make more of these. That was a clip by Bruce the Wrangler, and later in that clip he says he wonders if that was rat poison. And to be honest, it looks like uncontrolled muscle spasms and, you know, leading to these unusual kind of movements in a rattlesnake there. For me, rat poison is the first thing that comes to mind. That looks like either strychnine poisoning or bromethylin. Strychnine, I'm not sure if you can get it in the States anymore, perhaps for agricultural purposes, I really don't know. But bromethylin you certainly can, as far as I know. But either way, it could be that one of them or a similar compound. But yeah, my first thought is rat poison as well. And that's kind of one of the many threats that rattlesnakes face before we even start talking about rattlesnake roundups. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Those were some interesting clips, some a little bit crazy, but overall quite interesting. So I hope you'll come back next week, and if you do have something to show me, please don't hesitate to drop me an email. There's a link in the bio. Thank you very much.